You ever have a moment where your whole life feels like it's split into before and after? Like a single day can shatter everything you thought you knew about your neighbors, your community, even your own sense of safety? Yeah, that happened to us. And let me tell you, what started as just another lazy Saturday in suburbia turned into the kind of nightmare you read about in newspapers, but never imagined could play out on your own front lawn. You know what I mean? It began with sunlight streaming through the windows, a sense of peace hanging over the house. My son Leo outside in the driveway polishing the family's prized Rolls-Royce Phantom. That car, man, it wasn't just about status. It was a monument, a silent marker of what it took for 3 generations of us to claw our way up from nothing. My father's hands wrecked by factory work, my own sleepless nights building a company from scratch, all of it embedded in the gleaming chrome of that car. And Leo got it. At 17, with his wild imagination and his artist's heart, he treated that car with the kind of reverence most kids reserve for their first guitar or a favorite pair of sneakers. I was upstairs, nerves jangling before a big video conference that could decide the future of our company, half watching Leo through the window, half immersed in a spreadsheet war zone, when I spotted our neighbor crossing the street. You know the type, pristine garden, pastel sundress, always has a little something to say about everybody else's business. Until that moment, she'd been background noise. Today, she was a force of nature, striding up the driveway with a smile sharp as glass. "Good afternoon, young man," she purred at Leo, practically oozing condescension. "Working hard, I see. Beautiful car. My friends are coming by tonight, and, well, my Mercedes is in the shop. I'll need to borrow the Rolls for a few hours." The audacity hit like a slap. It wasn't a request, it was a command, backed by the unspoken expectation that of course Leo, the polite black kid from the new family on the block, would fall in line. Leo held his ground, respectful, firm, but unbending. "I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't do that. This is my father's car." That's when the mask dropped. Her smile twisted into a sneer. "You people don't appreciate what you have. A car like this is wasted on you." She poked a finger in his chest, voice rising. "Give me those keys, or I'll make you regret it. I'll have you arrested for harassment. I'll tell everyone what you are." Yeah, let me back up a sec. Imagine being 17, alone, and someone's hurling that kind of threat in your face just because you set a boundary. Leo watched her storm back across the street, already dialing her phone, and he knew deep down, this wasn't over. Within half an hour, a slow parade of cars began pulling up, each one dropping off another friend of hers, each one staring at our house like it was a crime scene. Before long, there was a full-on tribunal assembled on the sidewalk, arms folded, jaws set, judging us for a story they hadn't even heard. I was upstairs, trying to focus on the deal of my career, but my son was texting me, and the tension was building. The neighbor was performing for her audience, weaving a tale about how she'd been threatened by an aggressive young man. Not a single person came to our door to ask what actually happened. They just watched, waited, and believed her side, because that's how these things work sometimes, especially when you people means folks like us in a neighborhood like this. Things escalated fast. Shouting started. Someone hurled a stone at our window. The crash was like a gunshot, shattering not just glass but the illusion of safety. The mob turned physical, hurling insults, breaking more windows, trashing the lawn, fueled by a mix of old resentments and newfound righteous fury. Leo, terrified, called me and 911 at the same time, his voice shaking. "They're here, they're breaking the windows. Dad, please come home." I've never driven so fast in my life. By the time I pulled up, the police were already there, blue lights strobing against the chaos. The neighbor, ever the actress, was dabbing her eyes with a handkerchief, telling the officers that I'd gone berserk when I arrived, that my son had a history of erratic behavior. The mob backed her up, every single one of them lying in chorus. And there I was, suit askew, windows smashed, my son pale and shaken beside a police officer, looking for all the world like the villain in their story. The cops didn't arrest anybody. They filed a report for property damage and disturbance, suggested I de-escalate things with my neighbors. I'll never forget the taste of that word, de-escalate. Like it was on us to appease the people who'd attacked our home, to smooth things over, not for the sake of peace, but for the comfort of the mob. My victory at work felt meaningless. Leo, normally my rock, was hollowed out by what happened. The lawsuit we filed was a last resort, not out of vengeance, but out of survival. Let me tell you, fighting back wasn't easy. The neighbor doubled down, launching her own countersuit, accusing my son of emotional distress. She wanted a restraining order to make him a prisoner in his own house. It was a strategy born of pure, unfiltered entitlement. The community took sides, and it wasn't ours. We were shunned, whispered about, even harassed, trash on the lawn, hateful graffiti, the works. Leo withdrew, his sketchbooks collecting dust, his eyes haunted. No amount of money from a potential settlement could heal what was broken inside him. Now, here's the twist. While digging through the garage one night, I found an old DVR from a single security camera I'd installed months before, the kind you forget about until you're desperate. By some miracle, and a little luck with a data recovery specialist, we managed to pull both video and partial audio from the day it all went down. It was grainy, staticky, but clear enough. You could hear the neighbor's voice demanding the car, hear Leo's calm refusal, hear her threats. It was the nail in the coffin for their lies. The court hearing was electric. Julian, our lawyer, rolled the tape in front of the judge, and the courtroom went silent as the truth played out. My son, composed and respectful, the neighbor, shrieking and vengeful. The judge's verdict was scathing. Injunction denied. Criminal charges recommended. The neighbors scattered, their alliance shattered. The settlement was massive, enough to force the neighbor to sell her house and cover the damages. Suddenly, the same folks who'd condemned us started showing up with apologies and awkward gift baskets. Justice was served, or so you'd think. But here's what nobody tells you. Justice doesn't restore peace. The windows got fixed, but the cracks in our lives stayed. Leo started drawing again, slowly, painfully, like someone learning to trust his own hands. We stayed. We kept the house and the car, out of stubbornness or defiance, or maybe just hope that someday this place could feel like home again. But the truth is, every glance from a neighbor, every car that slowed down, was a reminder of how fragile that sense of belonging really is. One night, months later, I found Leo in the garage, polishing the Phantom. Maybe we should sell it, he said quietly. I looked at him, saw the determination behind the tired eyes, and knew this wasn't about a car. It was about not running, not giving up the ground we'd fought so hard for. No, we're not going anywhere, he said. And we're keeping the car. So we stay, scars and all, living with the knowledge that justice, when it comes, isn't always healing. It's just the end of one kind of fight and the start of another, quieter one, to rebuild what was lost. And every day, we choose not to be driven out, not to hide, not to let someone else's story define us. But I'll leave it here, because maybe the Real story isn't about the car, the house, or the neighbors. It's about the truth, and how easily it can be buried or set free, depending on who's willing to fight for it. So tell me, would you have stood your ground? Do you think justice was really served? Or does something about this whole mess leave you unsettled too? Drop your thoughts below, because honestly, I want to know where you stand. Right and wrong, justice and belonging. Sometimes the line isn't as clear as we'd like to think.